Good morning. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. I am delighted to be here. I am honored to be here, and my heart is filled full of gratitude for many things and many people. To be invited to this wonderful, beautiful ministry that resonates with my heart. I want to thank Reverend Margie for the invitation, and I want to thank Reverend Denise and all of the staff and volunteers and the ministers and the beautiful people that are the heart of this ministry. And I want to thank those that were part of the seminar this week, the meditation retreat, the spiritual direction retreat. I really came away from that with a deep appreciation to the depth of your commitment to personal and spiritual and global transformation through this church. And I just want to say to each and every one of you that you perhaps don't know how lucky you are, perhaps you do. And sometimes it doesn't always seem like luck. But you have a beautiful core group of people that are working very, very hard on themselves, on this ministry, and the consciousness of this planet. So I want to honor each and every one of them that were part of that. So thank you. So the title of my talk this morning is Being in the World, but Not of It. Being in the world, but not of it. So first of all, what does that mean? Well, let's talk about what it used to mean. To be in the world and not of it, a few centuries ago meant you joined a religious order somewhere. You went to a monastery or a hermitage or someplace where you were perhaps in the world in a very minimal way, and that was the only way to become to dedicate your life to the divine was to become a cleric or a monastic. You see. To be in the world and of the world, in the world and of the world, we've all tried that. Many of us are still partially there, whether we want to be or not. To be in the world is to be defined by the world. It's to be a prisoner of the world. It's to be a puppet where the world pulls our strings. When things are good, when the stock market's up, I feel good. When people like me, I'm praised, I feel good. And when my belly's full and all is well, I'm happy. But we know life isn't always like that, is it? The stock market goes down. Sometimes people criticize us. Sometimes we don't get what we want. And when we're in the world and of it, then we go down with that. And we ride that roller coaster up and down and up and down. And how many folks have been on that particular roller coaster? It's fun when we go up, and it ain't fun when we come down. And sometimes we ask ourselves, is there a better way to do it? Is there a better way to do it? Particularly if we feel called to some form of awakening, some form of spiritual transformation and awakening. Well, not too many of us here, I'm guessing, have been guided to join a monastery or a religious order, I'm guessing. Anybody here with a monk or a nun, or I'm guessing that's not too many of us, because we are called to be in the world. So it's a difficult path to be awake, to live a life where we really believe the music, the lyrics of the song that we sing. I'm here for you, God. We're totally surrender and become an instrument of the divine. So that's what I want to address, is how we can do that. How we can be an instrument of the divine and still live in a very, what seems like an undivine world at times. Well, being in the world and not of it does not mean we have to drop out. Does not mean we have to shave our heads. It does not mean we have to do that, although that's pretty cool. That's one way of doing it. But it doesn't have to be that blatant. We can live that way internally in the world, be in the world, but still have that connection with the sweet calmness of meditation. Emerson, let's see, Emerson said something like that. Perfect woman is she who in the midst of the crowd, you say. So that picture, that graphic that we had before was a sort of a visual depiction of that, of how we can be in the hustle, the bustle of the world and still maintain that sweet solitude. And it's not just for ourselves alone, because when we are connected with our source, then we are in the world in a very different way. We're not there in the world to get something. We're not there in the world for the world to provide something we feel is missing inside of us. But we're in the world to learn, number one, for our own personal transformation. And that transformation ultimately will include some form of transformation of the world itself. And that's the beauty of the process. What you and what I need and what we are guided to do as individuals is what the world is yearning for. It's when the joy of our heart meets the hunger of the world. Because the universe is looking for exactly what you most want to be and do. So in the world will tell you what you're supposed to do. We've all been there. Maybe we've obeyed and maybe we haven't, but we've all been there. But to be in the world and live in the sweet solitude of our connection with Spirit is not only personally liberating, but it adds to the liberation of the world, whether we try to or not. Who you are. This is another Emerson quote. Who you are speaks much more loudly than anything you say, or even anything that you do. Being in the world but not of it, living fully, passionately, living sanely, not engaged in the craziness of the world. A quote from Deepak Chopra. The world sometimes feels like an insane asylum. And can anybody besides me relate to that? The world sometimes feels like an insane asylum, but you can decide to be an inmate, or you can pick up your visitor's badge. Visitor's badges are right at the outside as you leave. You can be in the world but not engage in the melodrama of it. You can become a spiritual being, having a human experience thoroughly and fully. You can be a human being having a spiritual being having a human experience thoroughly and fully. See, most of us, we identify first as being human, and then we try to be spiritual. So we identify as being a human being trying to have a spiritual experience. But the irony is we're already spiritual. We are spiritual beings. What we may not be doing so well is being human beings. Being spiritual and human at the same time. To recognize that that's our path, is to be in this world yet not fully of it. By becoming fully present to our human experience in every way, and yet not losing that sweet solitude of oneness. So let's talk a little bit about how to approach that, how to do that. Well, we begin by exploring, we begin by just looking at what's here. What is the human experience? Most of us define our human experience in terms of what's around us. The people, the places, the things, the events. My experience, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, I'm a retired, or I'm teaching, or I'm a minister, or da-da-da-da-da, like you say. Doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, whatever it may be. That's the role. And for many of us, that's as far as our sense of self gets. You know, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm another thing. But there's also a much, much deeper place in which our experience of the world is 100% our own, that's got nothing to do with the world itself. Case in point, this immediate moment. I invite you in this moment to become aware of your experience of being in the world. What is your experience of being in the world? Well, we let go of describing our externals. What's left? Well, I'm aware of having a physical body, right? Most everybody here, hopefully, is aware of having a physical body. It may be pleasant or unpleasant in that physical body, but it's a physical body. We sense our body. We are living beings. We are in a human form. This body can hear. Hopefully, you're hearing what I'm saying. This body can see, generally, has the ability to see. This body can taste, can smell. And it can take all of those experiences and it can process them internally in what we call thinking and feeling. So we take everything that we see, hear, taste, touch, and then the mind weaves that together into a tapestry called reality, my life. You see? Each experience is like a strand in that tapestry, and the mind weaves it together into some kind of a picture. So being in the world, but not of it, begins by looking directly at our experience of being in the world. My experience of being in the world changes. My thoughts change. My emotions change. My sensations change. Sometimes I'm hungry, sometimes I'm not. My thoughts are constantly changing. Feelings, smelling, seeing, hearing. Everything's changing. But what's not changing? What is it that's not changing in all of that? That which is aware of seeing, hearing. Okay? So there's the awareness of your experience, and there's something behind all of that that doesn't change whether you're hungry or full, whether you're happy or you're sad, whether you're feeling good or feeling pain or whatever it might be. There's something that perhaps you can sense right now is here. There's no words for it. We might say it's me. Being in the world, we say, I am a father, a mother, a minister, a whatever, carpenter, farmer. I am something. We look at our own experience, we say, I am hot, I am cold, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I feel good, I feel bad. I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm sad. So all of these are I am somethings. What is it that's aware of all of this? Something called I am. Period. Yeah. So the I am is not an object that we're looking for. You know, experience the Christ, the I am within you. It's around here somewhere, right? You know, maybe if I hold my tongue the right way or say the right mantra or something, I'll find it. It is that which is looking. What we are looking for is that which is looking. So it's like going into a dark room with a flashlight in our hand, looking for the flashlight. We don't see it, do we? So, and that's the strange part of the spiritual practice, is that what we are looking for, what we most deeply want, there's no name to it, because we're already standing in it and on it. So the paradox is that through the practice of being aware that you're aware, being aware that I am a father, I am a grandfather, I am retired, I am a male, I am this, I am that. I feel happy, I feel warm, I feel full, I feel gratitude. Regardless of what I'm feeling, as I continue to practice that, I realize who I really am is that which knows all of this. And as you know who you are, then you can be in the world and not entrapped by even your emotions, even your desires. We can have whatever we have passionately. I can be passionately angry. I can be passionately happy. I can cry and sob. And yet at the same time, there's that something deep inside of me, the still point, T.S. Eliot called it. In the still point, the dance of life, no matter how fast the ballerina twirls, she twirls around the still point. And there's that point in the center of the whirling world, the whirling mind, the whirling body. There's that point that never moves. And that's the point of I am. That's the point from which we can live and move and have our being. And so I'd like to close with this quote from a book, my book, Living Originally, last book I've written so far. Feel each response to your life experience deeply and completely. Act as if everything you do matters to the utmost. Give life all that you've got. And then just remember, it's only a drama. It's just a story that our mind has created. Live your life consciously and impeccably. Then let everything go. Let the story of your life unfold as it does. See every experience as a necessary step in your journey home. And ironically, the journey home is the journey to where we've always been, right from the beginning. And so we return home to the place where we began, and we experience it truly for the very first time. And so I thank you for your presence, for your participation in this beautiful ministry. And once again, I feel gratitude for all that has made it possible for me to be here. So God bless you.
Two.